Hey guys, welcome back to another pick a card reading. For this reading, we're going to see how are you currently being viewed. Could be by a specific person on your mind or people in general. So hopefully you chose based off of the little mushroom guys on the thumbnail, but if not, you can also feel free to choose here based off of one of these cards. Yeah, there's just 4 piles to choose from today. Um, I haven't really planned out exactly how I'm going to do this reading. I'm going to kind of just wing it, but I'm going to be doing some live shuffling in this reading. Probably we're going to be doing some astro dice and shuffled songs for each pile in this reading, so there's that too. And depending on how I guess short the readings end up being, I don't know. I might pull some charms at the end too for some more messages. So I guess we'll see. My readings have been a little bit shorter recently, and I don't know. I guess I like to do both longer readings and shorter ones, so mix it up a little bit. But yeah, so that's basically what's going on in my head starting this reading. So yeah, go ahead and choose your pile, and I'll see you in your reading. Pile 1, welcome to your reading. So let's see. How are you currently being viewed by others or a specific person? So first thing I think I want to do is kind of talk about the image on your card, because to me, I guess what I see and what I notice in this card, she's got like really tan, kind of darker skin. So maybe you do have tan or darker skin, but she also has like really light hair color. It's making me think of like, I hope this is the right way to say it, like a high contrast, like really like light and dark tones maybe in your physical appearance. And to me it's like kind of striking, and like I feel like if I saw her in person in a crowd she would definitely stand out. um and yeah, maybe if you have like braids in your hair or something like that, they stand out in some way, or they're really nice, I would say. Kind of a random thing. This candle, I've switched out a few different candles as I started this channel. This one specifically burns so, like, a lot. Like, the flame is, like, very high. Anyways, so yes, the mushroom you chose. So I kind of wanted to intuitively get what I'm getting, or get what I'm feeling from the mushroom guys in the thumbnail. So for yours, like your little mushroom guy looked very excited. So I wrote like maybe you're being viewed as someone who's very happy, in a good mood, feeling optimistic, feeling very energetic. It looks like his little arms are like raised, and like it almost looks like he's like reaching out for a hug or something like that. So I wrote that down, like wanting a hug, wanting to share some good news, or feeling very affectionate. So those could be ways that you're being viewed right now. Your song though was quite different than the energy that I get from the mushroom. So maybe you'll kind of resonate with one or the other, or somehow even resonate with both of these sort of messages. But the song you got was Numb by Linkin Park. If you know that song, it's a very depressing song. So I wrote that maybe you're being viewed as someone who feels a lot of pressure, or like there's a lot of expectation on you by other people. And maybe you're being viewed as someone who wants to sort of break free from a connection of some kind, or maybe just from people's pressure or expectations on you. And that also, like, you're being viewed as someone who is discovering themselves right now. Partially it's like going against what maybe other people expect of you, so being a little bit rebellious, and not in a bad way, but to just be more of who you are. So let's see what this card says. So it says, it might be time to mess around in the portal of transformation and see what's unveiled. Yeah, no, I feel like that kind of matches with the song a lot, because in the song it's like he's talking about feeling like he's disappointing people because they have these expectations of him. And kind of just, I think there's a line in the song where he says, I want to be more like me and less like you. So maybe it's like there's people around you who expect you to be like them in some way, and it's like you're wanting to break free from that and move in your own sort of direction or go through some sort of like transformation or portal. So I have my astro dice here. Let's roll these and see how people are viewing you. Okay, so we got Capricorn. We have the 8th house. And we have Neptune. That's Neptune, right? Sometimes I get a little confused about the signs. The symbols. Let me pause the video and double check, make sure this is Neptune before I keep going. I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. It is indeed the symbol of Neptune. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, but that's cool because we have Neptune and the 8th house, so definitely very mysterious, I would say, is how you're being viewed. Very spiritual, maybe a little bit, with mysterious, like a little bit secretive or private, or sometimes I see Neptune as being a little bit hidden or isolated. So yeah, maybe you're a little bit private right now, isolated, maybe focused on certain goals since we have Capricorn here, and it is also making me think of Capricorn and Neptune, which definitely, that I have that Capricorn and Neptune placement, so if you're around my age, you probably have it too. Yeah, so that can make someone actually pretty skeptical too. Maybe you are someone who is good at balancing both logic and spirituality and your intuition. Yeah, I would say you're being viewed as someone who is very spiritual, very intuitive, maybe even a little bit psychic, but yet not like, you know, you're logical as well. You're responsible. You're dedicated to maybe certain goals in life. You're serious. Maybe you're being viewed as someone who's pretty serious right now about something. Yeah, I also find that Capricorn people I have met have been, and I'm only saying this because we also have this 8th house energy and kind of a little bit in the Neptune too, that maybe along with being quiet or mysterious, maybe some people are viewing you as a bit shy or reserved. Maybe a little bit difficult to get to know as well. But okay, let's see. Let's take a look at some cards next and see more of how you're currently being viewed. So for pile 1, how are they being viewed right now? Oh, and with the 8th house too, that does talk about like transformations, like death and rebirth. So it could even be that, I kind of touched on it before, but really being seen as someone who's going through huge transformations in life. Like maybe a lot about your life or your personality, maybe the way you're doing things is changing, maybe quite drastically. So yeah, pile 1. How are they currently being viewed? Okay, we have sadness, which makes sense with the Linkin Park song of Numb. So actually, what I was originally thinking when I kind of talked about your mushroom guy, or like wrote down notes about your mushroom guy, and I pulled the song Numb, I was like, what? How does that make sense? With such a happy looking little mushroom guy, like you wouldn't think that they're sad or feeling numb or, feeling anything negative. I wonder if you relate to, like maybe you're very aware. I mean, this would make sense if you do feel highly pressured by people around you. There's a lot of expectation on you. It's like you need to be strong in some way or present yourself as someone who's in a positive mindset, even when maybe you're not, or maybe you're just good at that. Yeah. So yeah, you could be viewed as someone who really doesn't want their negative emotions to rub off on people. And even if people could get the sense that maybe you're a bit sad, maybe you don't really express it much or show it too much, and you're just wanting to kind of put yourself in a good energy when you're around others, maybe because you know that, yeah, I mean, people's emotions can rub off on others. Not to say that you should necessarily hide them or be afraid to express them, but yeah, maybe it's like you've been through something difficult, and it maybe it has gotten you down a bit, but it's something where you're not letting it take you down all the way. Like you're allowing yourself to get back up and still have fun in situations, even if there's something that's troubling you. So that could be something, like, in a way, how you're being viewed. And I was also thinking, with the song that you got and this idea of feeling pressure from others, that maybe it's you're kind of you're kind of wanting to move away from feelings of sadness. So if it's like, um, you know, trying to impress people by living up to their expectations all the time, maybe it's quite draining, and it does put a like a damper on your mood, and it makes you feel a little less, excited, or a little less bright. It seems like you're making conscious changes and moving away from what causes you to feel negatively, whether that's sad or just negative in some way. Yeah, so we also have, it says that defensive slash listening. So I would say, like, one way you're being viewed, I think it would be that naturally, like, you're a good listener, or where it's like, maybe you were good at holding up to other people's expectations in the past and you did it well. So I guess people would see you as someone who is a good listener. Um, but I feel like with this defensive energy, there's a change in you where you're wanting to do things differently, or you're not wanting to live up to people's expectations anymore. Kind of release pressure off of yourself. And so, yeah, maybe people could see you as not listening, being a little bit defensive, being stubborn. And this is not a bad thing, in my opinion. They might see it as a bad thing if they don't like it. It doesn't serve them in some way. But if it's serving you to do that and, like, make those changes, I support that. I support you in that. How is pile one currently being viewed? Okay, that's funny. Um, Sometimes I wonder, I don't know how common it is for people to think that maybe tarot readers, when they have pre shuffled piles, how many people wonder or are suspicious that they, like, put together the piles themselves. I can't imagine, like, that seems so much more difficult than having random cards pop out to, like, go through each deck and find the cards that you want to create a message for. But it's so funny when things like this happen. We have defensive, and then we have defense. So yes, definitely, you're being seen as someone who is defensive, who's protecting themselves, and changing the way they do things. And maybe that's putting up stronger boundaries with the people around you, telling them no, saying, hey, I'm not going to do this favor for you, and I know that's disappointing, but I don't have time for that. Things like that. Um, we have a little, I guess he's a scorpion, so a little bit of Scorpio energy here. How is pile one currently being viewed? And yeah, Scorpio, we did have the eighth house come out too, which I see Scorpios as being quite private, a little bit mysterious. They are emotional and sensitive, though I would say they tend to, like, react with anger, like the emotion of anger, more often than maybe sadness. But that might be, I know a lot of Scorpios with Leo in their chart as well, so maybe that plays a part in that. But yeah, so maybe you're seen as someone who, instead of reacting with sadness, maybe you're being more comfortable with getting angry, which I don't think is a bad thing if you express it in a healthy way and feel those things in a healthy way, because even the negative emotions, we're meant to feel them. Although they're hard to feel, they're not the easiest things to go through. But I would say it's like people see you as protecting yourself right now. putting up strong boundaries and kind of like going in a different direction that would feel more fulfilling for you. How is pile 1 currently being viewed? And I was trying to say with that Scorpio energy, yes, like maybe you've been a bit absent lately in some people's lives. It's pile 1. Okay. And then we have destiny. Yeah, I was really feeling that. It's like you're discovering yourself, going through like a little self-discovery journey, and you know, kind of like moving closer to your destiny. And that could involve disappointing some people who had, I don't know, plans for you, it feels like. I don't know. And yeah, you could also be seen as someone, yeah, with that Capricorn energy, very serious about your destiny, very serious about your future. It's like you're taking things seriously and you're not really letting anyone or anything come between what you want. Even your own emotions, I would say. So like maybe you've been seen as someone who would get emotional, and maybe that would stop you from achieving goals or going after your destiny in life. And maybe it's that you're moving towards your destiny regardless of what feelings come up. So there's like a strength to you that people see in you. And I also feel like people see you as someone who is destined for more, destined for like some sort of greatness. How is pile 1 being viewed? How is pile 1 currently being viewed? Yeah, so we have grounded. To keep your roots and stand taller than the trees. Yeah. Um, I do feel like you're being seen as someone who's grounded, even if you have felt emotional. Capricorn is often talked about as like kind of not really about emotions. They don't seem to be very emotional. I would argue that Capricorns do have emotions and they can be quite sensitive. That's for sure. But they do kind of tend to come across as composed. So yeah, I would say it's like even if people got the sense that something was upsetting you, you still seem very grounded, very stable. And like I said, it's kind of, I feel like it's relating to the energy of despite whatever emotions come up, because they're emotions and we're going to feel them, you're still going to go after your destiny regardless. So let's get some tarot cards and we'll see. Maybe we'll pull some charms after this. Let's see more of how pile 1 is currently being viewed. Strength. What did I just say? You're very strong. Being viewed as someone who has a lot of strength. Possibly even strength in sharing your emotions. Like maybe, you know, for some of you, it does resonate that despite whatever emotions you feel, it's like you're going to remain grounded and composed and go after your goals anyways. But I also feel like strength, sometimes I see strength as having compassion. And sometimes, especially when emotions come up, like maybe heated emotions, it becomes easy to lose compassion, lose empathy. So maybe you're being viewed as someone who, even in heated emotions, you still have a lot of compassion and empathy for the people around you. How is pile 1 currently being viewed? No, it's funny though, because this card is not traditionally in the tarot deck. And I was thinking, like, I picked out this deck. I was like, oh, okay, we'll use this deck. I had to go look up how to pronounce this word again because I had to do this before. And I was like, do I really know how this is pronounced? Ingenuity. I do know how it's pronounced. Now, I'm confident. But yeah, okay, you're seen as someone who is really smart, able to find solutions to maybe any sort of problem, or and you're very observant. Very smart, very intelligent, able to overcome obstacles, any sort of challenge that comes your way. You're being viewed as, I'm smart enough to get through it. I'm strong enough to get through it. You are definitely seen as someone who's extremely powerful. That's really cool. And this is too, I guess, I mean, I don't know. I would say ingenuity is considered major arcana in this deck. So you're being seen as someone who I would say is like a big deal. um, Not here to play around. Like you're gonna get stuff done. You're gonna create some good things. How's pile one currently being viewed? And there's the Leo energy too. I don't know if there's like a few of you that do have Scorpio and Leo in your chart. Um, that's funny. Um, so how's pile one currently being viewed? Damn, and we a Scorpio energy again, and another major arcana. I knew when I said, well, no. Here's the thing. When two major arcana came out, and I'm like, yeah, you're a big deal. I'm like, I bet the next card that come out is not going to be major arcana, but it is. And yeah, definitely you are a big deal. I think there's something where maybe you're being viewed as someone who changes people's lives, changes people's perspectives. I would say you're someone who's incredibly inspiring, very smart, able to help people out, and that sort of have compassion for people around you. You're going through some huge transformations. I feel like there's this sort of self-discovery, finding out what you want to do, what's meaningful to you. And I feel like you're really letting go of like an old self, like an old version of yourself, and embracing some sort of like new ideas, new qualities, or something like that. That's cool. I love your reading so far. That's amazing messages. Okay, I will pull some charms because I did want these readings to be just a little bit longer. So if you're into the charms, feel free to stick around. See what other like fun little messages are gonna come out. Okay. So for pile one, how are they being viewed? Okay, we'll take that. So we did get the Five of Cups. So that does kind of relate to this sort of sadness energy. I do feel like there's something where, well, this is interesting. I feel like you're being viewed as someone who's no longer kind of accepting sad situations. Like if you can change the situation in some way or remove yourself from that situation or environment, I feel like you're kind of trying to change whatever has been disappointing in your life. And maybe I feel like it has to do with maybe relationships, people with high expectations of you, and that could also be you're being viewed as someone who has been disappointing other people because you've been putting up boundaries, you've been defensive in some way, and not in a bad way, but self-protective, and kind of, protecting your destiny in some way and not letting people come in between that. You do have the Page of Pentacles. You did also get Capricorn energy, and I do feel like you're serious about your goals. And so maybe you're being viewed as someone who has a new idea as far as like what goals you want to achieve in life, finding inspiration for a new sort of a direction in your life, a destiny, a goal, something you want to achieve. It could be for some of you, like with the Page of Pentacles, like a new business idea, and you're wanting to invest more time into that idea and see where it goes. This seems like you're being viewed as someone with great potential in life. You have this little feather, and I don't know, there's someone who's special that's thinking about you. Maybe you're being viewed as someone who has someone on your mind specifically. We have this little starfish, which to me, the starfish does talk about some sort of loss, but healing after some sort of loss. So you're being viewed as someone who can regenerate. You can pick yourself back up after disappointment or some sort of like loss or maybe failure. So you're very strong, and it's like you don't give up. I would say that's how you're being viewed. We have this toothpaste. Maybe you're viewed as someone who really cares about your oral hygiene, and maybe you have like very clean teeth. Maybe for some of you, it's actually like maybe you have maybe bad genetics or something. Maybe you struggle with that, and you're being seen as someone who's trying to take care of your like oral hygiene better or something like that. Or maybe you're having some tooth problems or toothaches. We have faith, so it's like you have a strong faith that things are going to work out. Or I feel like it's like you're working on your faith. It seems like as you're making changes and saying no to people and going after more of what you want and more of what's fulfilling in life, I think you're creating a stronger sense of faith within yourself. We also have this lock, and we have this key too, so it's like you're searching for answers. You definitely, with that ingenuity card, you're very intelligent and you're able to figure out solutions. So I feel like maybe that could be one way you're being viewed, is very serious about finding solutions, finding answers, unlocking secrets or unlocking doors in life. I also kind of feel like the lock, before I saw the key, was kind of representing you like being locked up in some way. Like maybe you've removed some of your removed some access to you from other people. We also have this little dog. I think that's a dog. Looks like it. Yeah. And we have this tree, which I relate to like family and maybe the home. So maybe you're being viewed as someone who is staying in more often, staying at home more often, maybe spending time with a pet. Or I don't know, maybe you're being viewed as someone who, I don't know, really likes pets, wants to get a pet, wants to add a pet to your family, to your home. But yeah, and maybe like family circumstances, maybe those have really affected you, and that's maybe it could be family that's placing high expectations or pressure on you, and you're wanting to kind of move away from that and just go after what's really fulfilling for you in life, which I support, and I hope that you continue to do that. Yeah, that's about how long I wanted the readings to be. So I'm going to end your reading here. Pile 1, you had such a good reading, so I hope you enjoyed the messages. And I'll be seeing you in the next reading. Bye. Okay, Pile 2, welcome to your reading. So this is the card you chose. Before we talk about your card, we're going to talk about your little mushroom guy. This was the one with the little knife. So I kind of wrote down some notes about like what I intuitively get from the mushroom. So hopefully this does resonate, but I also took down a song too, so we'll talk about your song that you got too. But yeah, for your little mushroom, I wrote cute but deadly, which is kind of funny because actually just now when I was looking at this card, she has like shorter hair, and I do feel like she has kind of like a cuter sort of like look to her. So maybe yeah, you're being viewed as very cute, but maybe deadly in some way. I also wrote maybe sarcastic, possibly into some darker things, and maybe there's a bit of like a intimidating or threatening aura coming from you. Your song that you got is We Rise by San Holo. And that song really doesn't have many lyrics, but I took it anyways. It just says, I think it says, well, obviously it says we rise, but it says, I think we fall. And it goes back and forth between we rise, we fall, we rise, we fall. So it's, to me, what I get from that is that you're very strong, like that's how you're being viewed. You're always kind of able to pick yourself back up after some sort of fall. Yeah, you're persistent, you don't give up. That came in pile 1's energy just a little bit. And then I also wrote that you're being viewed as someone who has fortune turning back in your favor. So with your, yeah, like I was thinking if some of you, it doesn't have to resonate for all of you, but if some of you do have like shorter hair, maybe you're being viewed as like it's a cute hairstyle. It's cute on you. She also has some like butterflies pulling at her hair. So maybe it's kind of like you're being viewed as someone who's very dreamy, kind of up in your head, imagining a lot, maybe just thinking a lot. But I would say it doesn't feel like it's stressful or anything, like you're overwhelmed with your thoughts, but maybe very comfortable in your mind in some way. So it says, sometimes it's the season to manifest things out of your life. Move on to new magic. Okay. So and that also did kind of was an energy in pile one a little bit, like removing things from your life. For them, it seemed more about relationships and saying no, or releasing pressure from relationships. So I'm going to roll some astro dice and see how you're currently being viewed. So pile two, how are they currently being viewed? Yeah, so we have the first house, we've got Scorpio, and I believe this is Uranus. Let me double check. Okay, yes, that's Uranus. Uranus. Okay, okay. I did kind of speak on your physical appearance, and with the first house, maybe there's something about your physical appearance that's being noticed in some way. Maybe you're looking good right now. Um, we did have a lot of Scorpio energy come out in pile one. So you could be seen as someone who's, yeah, it does feel like with Scorpio in the sort of like cute but deadly. Yeah, maybe you come off a little bit intimidating. Maybe if you're quiet, people don't know what you're thinking, and maybe they feel a little bit intimidated that you're judging them or something. I feel like you could be seen as, with Scorpio in the first house, maybe seen as someone who's quite sexy physically. Like you have a sexy body, like a sexy appearance or something like that. Maybe the people who are viewing you are very interested in you, interested in your body in a sexual way. We do have this sort of, I do feel like with Uranus energy, you can be seen as someone who is a little bit intimidating, maybe doesn't always follow what other people say or think or do. You stand out in some way, and maybe a bit rebellious or unique and different. And also intelligent. You could be viewed as someone who's on like social media a lot right now. It's like maybe you have a presence on social media, yet you don't necessarily share everything on social media. So there's still quite a bit of mystery to you from like other people's point of view. So we'll go with that. Let's pull some cards and see how you're currently being viewed. Also, your Uranus symbol switched over to Venus, so that does also kind of like amplify. You're probably very attractive. Maybe you're being seen as someone who's highly attractive right now, and maybe there's a lot of maybe admirers around you. So let's see, how is pile two currently being viewed? It's interesting too. I'm a little distracted. Sometimes it's the season to manifest things out of your life. And I was thinking about how your mushroom guy is literally holding a knife. So it's definitely, it seems like you're being viewed as ready to cut things out of your life in some way. Maybe cut a specific person out of your life. And maybe it's like people, when they look at you, and especially if they don't know you too well and you give off like maybe an intimidating aura, maybe they feel as if like you bite. Like they're hesitant to approach you because they're worried that maybe you're mean in some way or something like that. Not saying that you are, but that could be an impression that people get from you, especially if you are quiet. So let's see. How's pile 2 currently being viewed? Potential. Definitely with that sort of like fortune turning back in your favor. You're being seen as someone who has a lot of potential right now and maybe kind of moving with that potential. Like, this is not wasted potential, is what I'm seeing. Maybe you're being viewed as someone who is becoming more open-minded, more accepting in some way. How is pile 2 currently being viewed? Yeah, not surprised. Okay, we got magical power. So yeah, there must be something, like some turnaround that has happened where it seems as if you're, like, again, like the wheel is turning in your favor. You're getting, maybe you're being seen as someone with a lot more luck at this time. Things are picking back up for you. You're going through another glow up, something like that. And it's like it's becoming very easy to manifest what you want in life from how people are viewing you. And yeah, even with magical power, it could even be that, well, if there's people who are spiritual around you, maybe there are people who, again, like maybe a bit intimidated by what, they perceive, what sort of magical power they perceive that you have. Maybe they feel as if like you have strong protection around you, and if like maybe they mess with you, that they are going to get some sort of karma handed back to them. I do feel like there could be some people around you, for some of you who chose this pile, that are a little bit fearful of like what sort of magical power you have and what it could do if they ever came against you. Because I do feel like with that mushroom with the knife, like maybe for pile 2 you do have some people around you that are a bit of haters or something like that. How is pile 2 currently being viewed? You're like, yeah, my guides will take care of them. Spirit will take care of them, or karma will. Maybe you've seen things play out like that, like someone came against you and then suddenly things were not going well in their life. I don't necessarily think it's the best thing to always focus on, but I could see how it would make you maybe feel good that like people who had bad intentions towards you are not doing as well or something like that. This pile 2's, or pile 2 currently being viewed. Oh, happiness. Look at that. You're being viewed as someone who's very happy, going towards what makes you happy. I do also feel like there's like an opening up of, well, so I'm looking at, it says infinite here. There's confined / infinite. So it's something about you're not either putting yourself in a box and you're allowing yourself to be a lot more free in what you explore in life or certain potentials of things. I also feel like that could be, how you're seeing other people. Like maybe you're not placing people into boxes and you're kind of being more accepting of the people around you. And maybe it's just allowing you to have more happiness in life. And maybe it's like you're cutting out things and people that don't make you happy. Let's see. How is pile 2 currently being viewed? This came out in pile 1. Okay, you get grounded too. I do feel like there's like different themes coming out between like pile one and your pile, so they are different, but it does feel like they're both extremely positive, and it's almost like both pile one and your piles, you guys are also going towards some sort of like, well, pile one's more focused on like destiny and maybe achieving certain goals, and yours is more like, I want to see what's out there, like I want to see what's possible, I want to see the potential. And it's a very like where pile one is kind of more focused, maybe on like a specific thing, it's like you're remaining very open and accepting of like maybe what sort of experiences life wants to bring you, being more accepting of the people around you, which is quite different than like sort of things that came up in pile one. But the common thing here, is like a feeling of being grounded. Like no matter what happens, there's this energy of not wanting to give up and picking yourself back up after challenges kind of knock you down. That definitely came out in pile one, and that is sort of an energy in your pile. Yours is just slightly more positive, it feels like, because pile one might be dealing with some heavier emotions where you're not being viewed as someone who is really dealing with any sort of heavy emotions, just kind of like happy and free and doing whatever you really want. Which is, yeah, it definitely feels like a lot more of a free energy than pile one did. But there's something like very stable and strong in your energy where, yeah, you can get knocked down, but you won't stay down for very long and you'll get back up, and keep going. So let's see, for pile two, how are they currently being viewed? Queen of Wands, yeah, there's that sexy energy coming back into the reading. They didn't want you to forget how sexy you are or how attractive you are. You might be seen as someone who's very confident, very creative, very active, wanting to do a lot of things, maybe feeling more energetic. And yeah, again, very attractive. You might have a lot of sort of secret admirers around you. Where, how is pile two currently being viewed? We have the King of Cups. How is pile two currently being viewed? And we have the Nine of Swords. Interesting. Let me sit with this for a second. Interesting. Okay, there could be someone around you. I do feel like there's like a King of Cups energy and a Queen of Wands energy, and I'm not necessarily feeling as if this is both your energy. But I do feel like this is telling me there's maybe someone specifically around you, and this could be the person that you're wanting to cut out of your life. And, there might be a few ways to read this. So it's possible that you're being viewed as someone who's fearful of genuine connection, like a deep emotional sort of connection or something like that. And maybe there's someone around you who is more emotional, and this again could be someone you're wanting to sort of cut out of your life, who is feeling like you're scared to open up, or you're scared to express vulnerability or express feelings. Like there could be people who are viewing you as in this sort of happiness that you're feeling is fake. Like they might think that you're masking it, and also, and I've seen this happen where people who, especially people who are dealing with heavier emotions and don't feel it's easy to sort of get out of those negative mindsets or emotions, they can often sort of like make excuses for people who seem to be so happy. Like, oh, they're just avoiding their emotions. Oh, they're just running away from how they feel by keeping busy. And with the Queen of Wands, like, especially if you are active in doing a lot of things, maybe there's people around you, and I'm not saying they're accurate in these views of you, but they might be viewing you as, oh, you're just running away from your fears, you're running away from your emotions, and you're just tucking it away and doing more in order to sort of distract yourself and run away from it. Now, I'm not saying that's accurate or that's true, and that could just be someone who themselves feel fearful that you don't want to connect with them in some way. So again, it's like, because I feel these negative feelings, I'm going to project on you to make myself feel better about this situation. Especially if there's people you are cutting out, it's like, yeah, they're a little bit sad and they are making excuses for why you're doing that. And maybe, who knows, maybe you don't feel a lot of fear and you are quite happy and feeling fulfilled. um yeah, I do kind of feel like that could be it. Hmm. Yeah, like, yeah, I guess that's basically what I get from those cards. So, I mean, hopefully, like that. Well, it may not necessarily resonate, but you should understand why there might be people around you who would project that onto you, or maybe think that. Hopefully, that makes sense. But so we're gonna end your reading by taking a couple charms and seeing like what other fun sort of messages come out for how people are viewing you. So honestly, if you don't want to stick around for that, you can feel free to leave the reading now if you're not really interested in that part, but I just kind of wanted these readings to be a little bit longer than my last few readings. Okay, so for pile 2, how is pile 2 currently being viewed? Yeah, that makes sense. How is pile 2 currently being viewed? Okay, we'll go with that. So yes, this V, to me, I think of it as like victory, a big victory. So yeah, definitely, it's like maybe you're viewed as someone who was dealing with something a little bit challenging or difficult for a while, and it kind of knocked you down a little bit, and you got right back up and said, "Nope." And they then eventually things turn in your favor. We have the Emperor, so Aries energy with the Ace of Wands too, so there's more fire energy, and the Five of Pentacles. So, and then we also have this coin. So maybe you're being seen as someone who's focused on work in some way, focused on certain projects or goals, or making money, saving money. And yeah, maybe being viewed as someone who's highly successful. We have beautiful. I feel like there's so much here about being like very attractive physically, like a lot about your body or being physically attractive, physically beautiful. There's definitely someone around you who's viewing you as very attractive. Um, then we have this tree, which I relate to family, but I guess in your case, I would think of it as more like being very strong, being very sturdy. Not losing your place. Even if you get knocked down a couple times, you're getting right back up. We have this elephant. So to me, I think of, when I see elephants, I think of like a very good memory. And I kind of feel as if you're being viewed as someone who doesn't easily forget things, and you could be viewed as someone who holds people accountable. And it's like, it's not necessarily like time passes and then you forget about it and you're all better and things are healed. It could be that, and you did get Scorpio energy, and I feel like that can come out in Scorpio energy where they do tend to kind of hold on to things. So it could be that you're being viewed as someone who doesn't forget what people do to them or what people say to them, and maybe you hold on to those things or you hold grudges. And it may be that and it could just be a specific person that's seeing you that way, and that could be someone you're wanting to cut out. Especially we do have the Five of Pentacles here, so that does talk about someone being left out in the cold. So it's like, I do feel like there's someone around you. Well, yeah, it could be that there's people around you who feel like they view you as leaving them out in the cold. I do also feel like with the Five of Pentacles, it could be some sort of challenge you've recently been through. And it could be, since we do have the coin here, maybe it's related to like money in some way. Like maybe you lost some money, or money has been a little bit challenging. And I feel like you're being viewed as someone who's either left someone behind, left certain challenges behind, and you're starting something new and becoming more passionate in life. Finding your passion again and kind of taking lead in some way. And that could mean cutting out specific people. You have this little shirt here. Um, it does look like a little Hawaiian shirt. So I don't know if like maybe there's like a certain style you have that says like tropical. Like I live by the beach or something like that. But I was also thinking like maybe just the clothes you wear are very beautiful on you, or you have really good style. Um, yeah, I want to say that's basically it. Yeah, that's your reading pile too. So I hope you enjoyed those messages. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye. Okay, pile three, welcome to your reading. So we're gonna, before we take a look at your cards, we're gonna talk about the little mushroom guy in the thumbnail image for pile three. Um, and then we're gonna talk about the song that was shuffled for you before getting into the cards, and then we'll get into the cards, see more about how you're being viewed. So first of all, you have the little mushroom guy with the guitar in his hands. So, I mean, I was thinking that the way you're being viewed right now is someone with talent, someone who's creative. Maybe you do some sort of art and you're really good at it. You stand out in that. Perhaps you're being seen as someone who is receiving a lot of attention or praise at this time. That maybe you're improving a skill, maybe like a creative ability, a creative skill. And then being seen as someone with great potential, which is funny. I mean, I guess that seems to be kind of a collective energy, since that did end up coming out a little bit in pile one and also in pretty intensely in pile two. Your pile does feel already kind of similar to pile one. She's kind of reaching her hand into a portal, and pile one's card, this card for them specifically, did talk about portals. So I thought that was interesting and similar to pile one. You got, well, no pile really got any negative messages, I feel, through their little mushroom guy in the thumbnail. Um, but both pile one and yours, your song is a little bit more on the negative side. So your song is Frozen by Ozzy. And so kind of things that comes up in the song is like letting other people decide and being a bit passive. Like it seems to be a song about a relationship, and he feels a bit betrayed by the relationship, a bit neglected by the relationship, and kind of having a more like, I guess, a more depressing and sort of cynical attitude towards love because of it. Um, But in the song, he also talks about like whatever you want. Like, what do you want? You get everything you want. What is it that you want from me? Like, what can I give you? Kind of thing. Um, so one way you could be viewed based off of the song and also the little mushroom guy you got is, and this came out in pile two as well, is like kind of burying your feelings through work or hobbies or some sort of creative project. So I also feel as if like one way you could be viewed right now is taking some sort of pain from a connection and like transforming that or using that as inspiration to create some sort of art maybe or develop a skill in some way. So yeah, you have this lady here, she's reaching into a portal, and like something a little bit interesting about pile one that's a bit different than yours since we're talking about like portals and stuff. Like I would say it's like manifesting a new life for yourself. For pile one, it seemed more like very conscious and like a lot of sort of like work involved in making like very conscious changes and putting up boundaries and it not being like necessarily an easy thing. For you, it feels, I don't know, just from the card, it does feel a little bit more magical for some reason, which I think is pretty cool. And then she also has, I almost said blonde hair. Maybe some of you have blonde hair, but I was going to say, she has pink hair. So obviously, pink hair is not a natural hair color. And maybe people view you as someone who, I guess it would go with being creative. I feel like a lot of creative people and artists enjoy colors and coloring their hair. So I don't know, maybe you're viewed as someone who likes to color their hair fun and maybe unnatural colors. And maybe it helps you stand out in some way, or you're the type of person who changes your hair color often. But yeah, let's see what this card says. It says, an open mind is a portal. Go figure to a different reality. Infinite possibilities are all around you. Now, it's funny because I do feel like there was a lot of similarities between pile 1 and pile 2. And so far, what I'm getting, like, there's going to be differences in all of the piles, of course. It's not like every pile is meant for everyone or anyone, but yours almost feels like a combination of both pile 1 and pile 2, like this energy of moving into like a portal into a different reality. It's almost like those messages came out in both piles, but I don't know. It just seems like you have an openness to you that pile two had as well. But yeah, so I have some astro dice for this reading. It's gonna roll the dice and see how people are currently viewing you, or maybe even a specific person if that's what you're asking. But how is pile three being viewed right now? Okay, so we got Mercury. We got Scorpio again. Scorpio came out in pile two. And then we got the 10th house. Interesting. Okay. So I would say with the 10th house, it's like you're trying to discover your purpose, find, it's I guess similar to the other two piles. Find your purpose, find what's meaningful to you. It could be that your purpose involves some sort of communication. Maybe I would say with Mercury, you're viewed as someone who is highly intelligent, thinks a lot, maybe, and it's like your ideas, your opinions on things, your thoughts about things, they're well thought out. Like maybe you think a lot. Your mind is very active. Maybe you're viewed as someone whose mind is overactive. I do, with Scorpio energy coming in with Mercury, to me, I do kind of feel like maybe a way you're being viewed as someone who has some sort of like anxious thinking, maybe a bit of paranoid type of thinking, and maybe that connects with your song a bit. Like maybe your situation in a connection is not as bad as what you're thinking it is, and maybe if you do tend to overthink or fall into some like paranoid thought traps, then I would say like yeah, you might be viewed as someone who who overthinks connections and maybe feels paranoid or fear that something's going wrong when maybe it's not. Um, yeah, I don't know. It could be that for some reason you want to use communication, your voice, or writing, and be known for that in life. Um, with Scorpio too, it could be that you're not necessarily afraid of the darker topics or like doing, I would say, like shadow work. So maybe you're open with those things, you're not afraid to address those things, and that's how you're being viewed. So I would say, especially with the 10th house and how you're being viewed, is someone who at least has a potential to be highly successful. Um, so let's see, and very connected to a specific purpose in life. So let's see more about pile three, how you're being viewed. How is pile three being viewed? All right, so we've got blessings, unaware slash graceful, because I always want to say grateful with that card. Okay, how is pile three currently being viewed? We have resilience. How is pile 3 being viewed? How is pile 3? We have knowledge. Okay, yeah, definitely with Mercury coming out before. You are being seen as someone who's very knowledgeable. Yeah, and with resilience here, it's got a fox on the card, and um, kind of a not really too important, but recently I've been seeing these videos of this person who's befriended a fox and giving the fox eggs every day. And so it's like the fox trusts them. But it seems like I was actually thinking about this earlier, kind of comparing a coyote to a fox. And I saw, like people interacting with these creatures, and it seems like the coyote is a lot more kind of a little bit. I mean, they're both like kind of skeptical and like not really trusting, of course, because they're animals. They don't know what the humans are up to. But it seems like a coyote was more likely to kind of try and defend itself, whereas like the fox might be more like run away, be very skittish. But so yeah, maybe you're viewed that way, but I would say it's more like with the fox is kind of like really observing people's intentions, and I think it also kind of goes along with the song that you got, like maybe being suspicious of people's intentions, um, if they're really trustworthy or not. So I would say it's like you have a very sharp mind. You could be very strategic. You could be a great spy, um, and kind of trying to figure out what I guess what people are up to. But other than that, kind of going along with your mushroom guy and kind of the idea that I had for initially for your reading. The message that I thought of really came out in pile two, and I guess it's something that has been on my mind more recently, so you might resonate with this, where it could be that people are perceiving you as someone who, especially with blessings there, and kind of the sort of positive energy that you have, um, that perhaps, and maybe it could make sense for some of you, that you're being viewed as someone who's running away from some painful feelings by being more creative, or maybe um, developing a skill in some way, like developing your knowledge in some way. And in other people's eyes, maybe they think that you're trying to avoid some sort of feeling and pretending in some way to be a lot happier or more blessed than you are. Um, reason why I've been thinking about that lately is I kind of realized that, especially people who feel like they don't have it easy in some way, it's hard for them to feel blessed or happy. in their day-to-day life, they might, if they see someone who seems to be doing well, is emotionally stable and happy, they might try and make themselves feel better and say that that person is just pretending, that it's not true, or that they are trying to avoid some sort of feeling and always running away from a feeling by doing more and keeping busy. So it is possible that that's in one way how people are viewing you. Not that that's necessarily accurate. Um, but let's see. How is pile 3 currently being viewed? We have reconnect. Secrets lurk in the captive shadows deep in the woods. Okay. Yeah, so you could be seen as someone who either wants to reconnect with someone in your life. Maybe you're seen as someone who is reconnecting with someone in their life. It could also be reconnecting with old sort of hobbies. Maybe like you're viewed as someone who's going through and rereading old books that you enjoyed. Something like that. Or just in general viewed as someone who likes to read a lot. Knows a lot, or has a lot of, like maybe a book collection of your favorite books. And I think overall you're being viewed as someone with an open mind, kind of like maybe like pile 2 was kind of like being viewed as someone who is becoming more open, where I would say you're being viewed as someone who has an open mind. Maybe that's something that's pretty natural to you. And not something you necessarily had to work on or develop or grow into. But yeah, let's see what else wants to come out for pile 3 and how they're currently being viewed. I also feel that part of this blessings card, unaware slash graceful, it's almost like, especially if you do resonate with the song that came up and maybe feeling kind of negative about a connection in your life, maybe there's people around you who would say like, oh, there's like blessings around you that you're unaware of, or they would think that, and this might be a tough message, maybe they think that you have it a lot easier than them. Like if you do feel sad about anything or complain about anything, they think like, oh, you have it so easy, so why are you complaining? Don't hate me for saying that. I just see that in these cards, and especially with like what I was saying, where people might kind of project onto you or make excuses for why you seem to be doing well. Um, they may look at you and think that you have it really easy in some way, especially with the message that came out earlier of like something being a bit magical about your pile rather than necessarily a lot of conscious effort. That might just be that you've already done that sort of work and you're past that. So people around you perceive you as having things really easy, and maybe they're a bit jealous when you complain. Like maybe they feel as if they have it a lot worse than you. So like if they had your problems, they wouldn't be complaining as much or something like that. I'm not saying that they're right in thinking that. And please, again, please don't get mad at me. I'm just kind of reading the cards here and what kind of things come up. Pile 3. How is pile 3 currently being viewed? Okay, so we have the 3 of Swords. How is pile 3 currently being viewed? We have the Fool. Oh my gosh. How is pile 3 currently being viewed? How is pile 3 currently being viewed? We have Ancestor. Okay. So the other thing about these types of videos with how you're being viewed, I hope that you can come to this reading with like, and well, I mean, I guess you probably would, since it does come up that you do have an open mind, so maybe you're open to these types of messages, even if I'm not gassing you up the whole reading. It's really good to look at these sorts of messages and these types of readings, even if they are not the most positives, because I will be honest, and maybe this would be a good thing to look at certain things and see where, how people are taking you. And maybe even if not all of the messages are completely accurate, but you could still see how people might think that, it's still good to take like value out of that and maybe see in what ways you want to change yourself or improve something. But yeah, we have the Three of Swords, the Fool, and Ancestor. So it definitely, the Three of Swords does talk about some sort of like heartbreak, a disappointing situation, a sad situation. Um, and I do feel like it could be related to a specific person in your life and maybe feeling like that person has been avoiding you or, yeah, like kind of being neglectful towards the connection. So I do feel like that's coming out here. And it's like maybe people are viewing you as someone who wants to reconnect with someone who left you heartbroken. And maybe you want to like fix the connection in some way. With the Fool, it could be even like a new start in a connection. um, with the Fool, it could be that you're being viewed as someone who jumps into things too quickly, and then because you jumped in very quickly, you ended up getting yourself hurt in some way. People could view you that way. There is a little bit of a maybe a bit of a carelessness that comes through in the Fool card that people see you in. It could also be that you are trying to create like a new start in your life, um, to kind of again get away from some sort of heartbreak in your life. With the Ancestors card, maybe it would be like, usually I would think of like, I don't know, to me it gives a bit of a spiritual energy. Maybe you're being viewed as someone who is asking for some sort of spiritual assistance, um, believes in that you will be assisted spiritually. I don't know. Please excuse me when I say this. I do hate saying things like this, but it is what I'm seeing, and if you resonate with it, maybe it can help you to hear it, even if it's a bit tough to hear. This is giving like, oh, I hope that things will magically turn around in this connection that has failed, and I'm kind of relying on a spiritual assistance for that to happen. um and I would say, like, if the situation has really left you feeling very sad and heartbroken, and that this person has like neglected you or avoided you, to really look at that and ask yourself if you want to be feeling that way in a connection. um I and we do kind of talk about infinite possibilities are all around you, and that's definitely true. But I would say, don't feed into a potential all the time as far as like connections go. Like, the potential is there. Well, what's going on right now, here and now? And if it's not looking good here and now, and maybe it wasn't looking good back then, in like a few months ago, you could kind of like look at that and say like, yeah, okay, in the few months in the future, it's probably going to be the same thing because things haven't changed. Um, so it's important to look at those things. I don't encourage anyone to cling on to a connection that doesn't make them feel good. So that's where I'm coming from. So I hope you understand that, even if the message is a little bit harsh to hear, it is coming from a good place, and I'm trying to help you out and be protective. Because yeah, there's a lot of energy in this pile of like being hung up on someone who maybe not good for you, to be honest. So let's see. Last thing we're going to do is pull some charms, and hopefully those messages that come out through the charms are a bit more light and fun and maybe positive. Sorry for the messages so far. If any of you are still with me, let's take a look at your charms and see more of like how you're being viewed right now. How Palsy currently being viewed. Get one more little tarot card. Okay, so we got the star here. We got a lot of Aquarius energy through the Fool and the Star card here. Maybe you're like developing your independence a little bit, working on your independence, because we have the Ace of Cups here. So there's definitely something about relationships and the way you're being viewed. We also have enough. So I do feel like you're being viewed as someone who's had enough of someone's bullshit. And that could be in a relationship, like you're tired of it, you're tired of the way you've been treated. Um, you're tired of being not someone's first option or something like that. It does feel like with the Fool card, like you're ready to start something new as far as like a new journey outside of what you've already experienced with other people. So I do see that here with the Ace of Cups and the Star card, like having hope for a new connection. And then we also have the Devil, so you got some Capricorn energy here. Yeah, I do feel like there's like healing going on for as far as attachments. So you could be viewed as someone who was very codependent in a connection and you're working on healing that. And like detaching from that. Let's see. Beautiful. Okay, you're being seen as someone who's very beautiful. I do feel like you're someone with very good intentions in life. And I think there's something about you that, like, maybe there's like a gentleness, a softness to you, or like a sensitive soul that people see in you that they find to be very beautiful. And we have this little letter charm, which interesting in the beginning. There was like Mercury coming up for you, so that's communication and the way you think. So maybe you're being viewed as someone who has a lot to say, like maybe sending a lot of messages at this time. Could also be, again, like there's something that you want to say, and that's how you're being viewed. Like there's something important for you to communicate, or using your voice is very important in your life. And that's like, something like how people are viewing you. You have this little sword too. So I see this sword as like, kind of like taking action, taking charge in your life, cutting out certain things that aren't working or aren't helping you in some way, not being afraid. Like it's giving a warrior energy, and I feel like you're you're kind of being viewed as in this warrior energy of being enough of a specific connection, maybe having enough and kind of ready to kind of take a new adventure and explore something else that's out there. Along with beautiful, this little charm, what I decided this looks like to me is like maybe an accessory or like an earring of some sort. So I don't know, maybe like part of your beauty is the way you accessorize, like maybe some of the jewelry you wear is very beautiful on you. And that's one of the ways that you're being viewed. We also have this little moon here, like a little crescent moon. So possibly very intuitive, someone who is in touch with your emotions at this time, very creative too. Maybe, yeah, it's kind of like putting your emotions into some sort of art form or releasing it in some way through maybe art or some sort of practice. It's basically what I get for your pile, and I just saw 44 on the clock, so I always, if I see that, I kind of let them know, like the pile know, that I do feel like you are having some sort of protection around you and that things will be okay, even if there's a specific person in your life that you're trying to walk away from. I feel like new sort of adventures, new relationships are coming your way, and there are things to look forward to in your future. I want to let you know. Yeah, that's your reading pile 3. Thank you for being here with me. I hope that you got something of value out of these messages, even if some of them weren't the most positive. Hope you can forgive me. But yeah, wishing you the best, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye. Okay, pile 4. Welcome to your reading. Alright, so first what we're going to do is talk about the little mushroom guy you chose from the thumbnail. And then we'll talk about the song that was shuffled for you. To be honest with you, I was the most excited for your pile based off of what I got from these messages here. We're going to do some live shuffling to get more messages about how you're currently being viewed, and I guess before that we'll roll some astro dice, and then we will pull charms at the end. So that's kind of like the setup of this reading. Yeah, I was excited to do your pile, and I don't know if it's a little bit conceited to say that I feel like I would resonate most with this pile. But your mushroom guy, he was the only one, he's small, and he was the only one who didn't have a mouth. So I wrote maybe a bit timid, quiet, or shy is how you're being viewed. Maybe, if not that, being viewed as someone who is deep in thought at this time, someone who's a little bit mysterious, and then something more to you than meets the eye. Like, it could be that you give off a very sort of innocent appearance, like this timid, quiet, shy. It's like there's something about you that's a bit like deeper than that, and maybe very unexpected, that people would never guess about you. And the song that you got, I love this song, is Divide by Odessa. And so things I wrote from that song is maybe you're being viewed as someone who's very spiritual, accepting of other people's beliefs, a master in some kind, and well loved. Like, either you're a very like loved person in your life by the people around you. Could also be that like you're incredibly secure in how people feel towards you. You're not someone who's very insecure about if someone cares about you or not. Like, you can very clearly see how people feel about you and feeling very secure in that. It could be that you've been through a lot, but you don't necessarily seem like it. You don't give off the energy of someone who's tired of life and has been through so much that they can't, I don't know, do things, accomplish things, or feel good. So maybe that's part of like the unexpected when it comes to you. And yeah, like you're incredibly wise. Okay. So then we have this card, and kind of along with pile 3, like she's got green hair, so maybe some of you do also dye your hair fun colors, maybe unnatural colors, and you're seen as someone who enjoys like maybe dyeing their hair different colors, or maybe you have a very colorful wardrobe too. And then I would also say a way that you're being viewed. Well, interesting, actually. I didn't notice this before, but there's like a little skeleton guy back there, like maybe left behind on this road. So, like, I don't know. It could be that you've been through some really intense sort of transformations, like deaths and rebirths, came out in a few piles. But I also feel like you're being viewed as someone who's recently let go of maybe something that was bothering you, like maybe something heavy on your mind. You're no longer dealing with whatever heavy thoughts that you were in the past. She's also got she's got some like tears running down her face. It's very faint, so you might not be able to see it. And it's almost like maybe like the tears have dried up. Like, I don't know, maybe you're no longer sad about something. It says, hold faith that when life and spirit redirect you, it's for your highest good. So maybe, yeah, it's like with that skeleton in the background, some sort of death, and like it's like a path here, like a road. So you're on a new road, a new journey, a new maybe life path than before. Yeah, redirection. So maybe you have a strong faith that where life wants to take you is where you're gonna want to be. But let's see, how is pile 4 currently being viewed? You have like a trust in the universe, a trust in your spirit guides, maybe curious as to where life is currently taking you. Um, how is pile 4 currently being viewed? Okay. We have growth and we have dying slash evolving. That's interesting. Yeah, definitely been through some sort of death in your life recently, something that ended and being put on a new path. And if you're not aware of it, then I should be here to tell you that it is for your highest good. I do feel like there's going to be a lot of good things coming your way if you've recently switched directions in life. Um, I do feel like you're viewed as someone who embraces change. Like you're not afraid of death in some way. You're not afraid of change. You know that you're going to grow from the experience. And I feel like there's a responsibility from you where it's like something that I said recently is like, people experience things at completely different times of their life. So to like, there's no like rules for what someone should know at a certain age, because again we experience different things at different times, and we often learn a lot through our experiences in life. And I feel like you're someone who really tries to take value out of changes in your life or different experiences and figure out how you can use it to grow in some way. Yeah, so I see you as, people see you as someone who's very responsible, I would say. How is pile 4 currently being viewed? How is pile 4 currently being viewed? Maybe, okay. We have defense. That came out in pile 2 in the same exact spot too, actually. That's pretty interesting, but I would say you're being viewed as someone who's not necessarily afraid to put yourself into uncomfortable situations if you know you're going to ultimately grow from that experience. Not that you might not feel like, I would say you could still be someone who gets anxious and scared and maybe doesn't always want to or feel up to the task, but I would say you're someone who, among others, takes on the challenge of new experiences, breaking free from comfort zones to develop yourself in some way. Um, how is pile 4 currently being viewed? And one thing I want to say with defense, and I told pile 2, I mean, it's got a scorpion on it, and so yeah, I associate that with Scorpio, so some Scorpio energy in this reading. But yeah, you could be viewed as someone who's a bit defensive right now, and that's maybe you have something you're wanting to protect, and maybe that's putting up boundaries with people and saying no. And that's interesting too, because so to put yourself into sort of like uncomfortable situations or experiences, breaking out of your comfort zone and growing from those experiences, it sounds like doing more, going out and pushing your limits. Um, that I also feel that you're being viewed as someone who knows when to take breaks. who knows when not to act and to maybe self-reflect. Um, let's see. How is pile 4 currently being viewed? Good fortune. Yeah, I do feel like you're being seen as someone who is so like part of like I'm kind of envisioning like you grow a lot in life. Maybe you're someone who focuses on that a lot, like how can I do better? How can I improve? How can I grow? And usually, like, when we think about those things, again, it's like doing more, pushing your limits more. And then, sometimes that's the problem, is doing that too much, always pushing yourself and never giving yourself a break or time to relax, or maybe time to, like we talked about in a couple other piles, like this idea of keeping yourself busy to avoid some sort of pain or negative feeling. So I would say like you're being viewed as someone who allows yourself to feel negatively when you need to. It's not like you push yourself all the time. You also allow yourself time to relax and take breaks and just breathe or feel whatever you need to feel. And yeah, I guess you're being viewed as someone who has great fortune, good luck. And yeah, I would say it's like you create good fortune by always constantly kind of reflecting and seeing where you could do better and improve yourself. And that, I mean, I think that takes a lot of bravery. There's a lot of people out here that, I would say like, this is the reason why I don't always like these sort of gassing you up readings where it's like there's only going to be positive messages the whole time. Like pile three's reading was not the most positive. There was some sort of negative messages that come out. And you're the type of person who would be able to sit there and listen to that type of reading and go, okay, yeah, I can see that, and I could see how maybe I should work on that. And it doesn't have to mean you are a failure or you're beating yourself up, but you're someone who's able to have like kind of critique yourself and have the bravery to do that and the bravery to admit where you need to improve. Um, and that, yeah, everybody in this world does have flaws, and we can work on them, and we can, not necessarily be afraid to admit that. So we can look at that and then change it or grow in some way, evolve. You're very evolved, I would say, and that's how you're being viewed. So how is pile 4 being viewed? Humility. Yeah. It says, flowers are unaware of each other's beauty. They bloom regardless. I would say, especially if you do resonate with someone who's brave and not afraid to admit your faults or admit where you can improve, you might be able to see that in other people pretty easily. And especially like being that sort of energy, people can feel very like triggered by that. Um, and It could be that there are people around you that are a bit jealous of how well you're doing, how it seems like you're a very smart person, very capable in finding like efficient ways of doing things. So it could be that you make things look easy, although you did put a lot of hard work and thought a lot about these things. um, and maybe some of these things took a lot of your effort. um, and there's a side to you that is still very um, humble. So yeah, you're not someone who shows off. You're not someone that comes across as like prideful. Maybe you're someone who really enjoys helping people go like get through sort of challenges that you've been through in life. You know what? I just realized. I'm sorry, pile 4. We never did your astro dice, so I guess we'll do that after I shuffle some more cards, and then we'll get into your charms. But yeah, let's see more about how is pile 4 currently being viewed. So you've got the Eight of Wands. Yeah, actually, and this is usually how I do it is like the first card that comes out, I put in the center, and then sometimes I'll associate cards that are nearby, and in this case, underneath of the Eight of Wands, with that card. So yeah, with growth and Eight of Wands, it's like you're being seen as someone who grows at rapid speeds. It doesn't take long for you to figure out better solutions to things, more efficient ways of doing things, or just improve yourself in general. And it's like you make very quick progress. Like you might be seen as someone who is a very quick learner as well. The Eight of Wands does also kind of talk about travel, could be communication. So maybe you're seen as someone who talks quickly, or messages back quickly. You might be viewed as someone who likes to travel. How is pile 4 currently being viewed? They all want to drop on the floor today. Hold on. Oh, we love it. It's the sun. Okay. Like high energy, I would say. With the Eight of Wands and the sun, you must have like a lot of vitality. And maybe it could even be that you're a hard worker. Like maybe you have like, it feels like infinite stamina to get things done, especially when you're passionate about something. You're definitely viewed as someone who's like excited right now, happy, ready for more in some way. And yeah, with these ladybugs here, along with good fortune, like lucky, good luck. How is pile 4 currently being viewed? Yeah, and the Ten of Wands, which fits with that sort of like, this involves work. This is not something that's necessarily easy. It's not like you had things handed to you. All of the things like the growth that you've like had in life is through very hard work in some way. Even if it looks easy, if it seems like you're a very quick learner, it's probably because you've already done a lot of sort of hard work for previous problems. And I would say if you put a lot of work into those things, maybe it gets easier over time. Part of this could have to do with like your emotional well-being with the sun, like what makes you happy. And it's like you figured out the things that make you happy in life and moving in those directions. But yeah, you're also viewed as someone who has like maybe infinite stamina. It's like you could just keep working and working and working, and you're happy to do it. It doesn't bother you. There's a lot. It seems like you have a lot of positive energy in the way people are viewing you right now. Because, like, the Ten of Wands comes with, like, this feeling of being tired, but I would say it's almost like the Eight of Wands and the Sun cancels that out of the eight, like, the Ten of Wands meaning. It's like, yes, you work hard. You work, maybe you could work for long hours. And again, you have a lot of stamina and a lot of energy to get things done and to move forward and grow in some way, and it makes you happy. This is not something that makes you feel tired. It maybe even gives you more energy, and gives you more inspiration type of thing. So that's great. I'm going to put these away. We're going to roll some astro dice and then pull some charms as a last part of the reading. Okay, pile 4. How is pile 4 currently being viewed? We got the sun, 10th house, and we got Pisces. Okay, so very psychic with the Pisces and the sun. Very intuitive, very creative, in touch with your emotions. Maybe like someone who is emotionally vulnerable. You're not afraid to express your emotions. There could be like with the sun and Pisces, maybe this balance of kind of like what I said, where it's like when to take action, when to be present, and doing things, and also when to kind of like take breaks and hide away from the world, or maybe take a break and relax, be alone or something like that. I do sense like an independence in you. You have the 10th house, so there's something where you're very connected to a purpose in your life. You're looking for a purpose in your life. Part of your purpose could involve like some sort of psychic work, divination, connecting with people through your emotions in some way, something like that. I hope that resonates with you. And let's go ahead and look at some charms now. what was it? The 10th house switched over to the 7th house when I put them over to the side. I don't know. It kind of like, along with your song of like being well loved, maybe you do have a partner and they love you and you know that they love you. You're secure in their feelings for you. Or you're someone who people want to keep in their life for a long time. I also feel. But yeah, how is pile 4 currently being viewed? Oh my gosh, I can't get 2 of them. How is pile 4 currently being viewed? Okay, get those 2. Okay, we'll go with that. Alright, so we have the 5 of Cups. Oh no, and we got the 3 of Swords. Oh my gosh, and the 10 of Swords. What the hell? So I don't know if this is, so I mean, we have this would be like some sort of heartbreak over an ending, possibly in a relationship, and it could be, obviously not for everyone, but like with the 5 of Cups, he's kind of like paying attention to these 3 cups that are knocked over. And there are 2 cups up right behind him, but I would say like maybe for some of you, you dealt with some sort of ending in a relationship due to cheating, some sort of, third party situation. And maybe that's what we have enough of. We're done with that. Enough. There could have been something in the past, like especially if people see you as someone who's very well loved, or if there is like you are with someone now who wants to spend their life with you or something like that. Maybe people think like, oh, okay, they've always had it easy in relationships. They've always been loved and adored or something like that. And maybe that's not true. Maybe you've been through like the ringer when it comes to relationships. Even if this doesn't have to do with relationships, I do feel like there was a message coming through as you've been through a lot and people not really able to necessarily tell, maybe based off of the sort of timid or shy or quiet sort of energy you give off, maybe even a little bit innocent or something like that, like you're pure and you've had a good life and nothing has ruined you in any way. And I would say that's very far from the truth. You've been through quite a lot, probably, and maybe it's those challenges and having to get through those challenges that makes you such like kind of a master at things at this point. Like if you could get through that, whatever that was, however painful that was, maybe not a lot of things can really touch that or compare to that. So it makes other things in comparison to be not a big deal, or you can handle it. If you can handle that, you can handle basically anything else. Is kind of like I feel like maybe how you're being viewed. Now, the other thing could be that there was a sort of recent, and maybe this is current, that there's a certain situation that has come to an end. Yeah, especially with this sort of first message here. Hold faith that when life and spirit redirect you, it is for your highest good. So for some of you, it could be that, situations have ended and maybe it was a very emotional sort of ending for you and it was disappointing. And yeah, you're kind of being redirected at this time and how you're being viewed. You have this little hand. It's got a little swirly thing on it. Maybe you have a tattoo on your hand and people really like that. Maybe you do something with your hands. Maybe you're like me and you have like a scar on your hand. Maybe some of you haven't really noticed that. We have protected. So you're being protected. And we have trust. Yeah, I do feel like for those of you who have been through some sort of rough ending in your life recently and you're kind of being redirected on a new path, I feel like some of you definitely trust the new path and you're okay with it and you feel protected in it. Maybe you realized a past situation was bad and you're not necessarily afraid to leave it, even if it was maybe a bit disappointing or heartbreaking. Um, but yeah, for those of you who are not aware and you're very much in this energy of like, oh no, something has ended and I'm being redirected, and maybe it's very like an emotional situation for you, I think this is coming through to tell you you are being protected and you should trust this new direction that you're being led in, especially like if this does have to do with relationships, because I do see, I mean, the 5 of Cups does talk about a situation that seems worse than it is. So it can be that, yeah, this is definitely an ending for your highest good and you're being brought towards a more positive experience, and it could definitely be in regards to relationship, like a new relationship coming in for you. With this little Pegasus, it's quite magical. Maybe there's something very magical about you. Maybe with the Pegasus, like that's kind of a like a mythical being, right? So like if you did happen to see one, it would be like maybe the only one or very rare. So I don't know, maybe there's something about you that comes across as very unique, very different, very rare, maybe very magical. And then you have this starfish, which fits pretty perfectly with this energy. Could be talking about some sort of loss that you've been through and had to kind of like grow from. Like, because when a starfish loses a limb, it does grow back a new one. Although it may take some time. This one's a little short. Maybe this is the one that got cut off. So yeah, I don't know, some sort of rough situation. It could have been like some sort of health thing. It could also be like kind of like me with this hand and this marking on the hand, like having a loss in some way. Like maybe you had some sort of injury that you were recovering from. Could be. But I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you for watching Pile 4. I hope you enjoyed the messages. I be talking too fast too, if you relate to that. Stumble over my words too much. Yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, Pile 4. I love your energy, and I hope I see you in the next reading. But if not, take care.